So the last video cut off, and I don't know where it cut off, but I think I caught it a little bit before it went too far. So basically all we're doing is we're solving for our C value, the side C, and in order to do that we just use algebra, multiply both sides by 30, and divide by the sine of 22.417. Whenever we do that, we get our side C, which is going to equal to, so we said we're going to multiply by 30, divided by the sine 22.417. That gives us a side C is approximately 64.457. 64.457 is our value for side C. We found a measure of angle B and measure of angle C. Once we saw that we had an angle and its corresponding side, we said, okay, if we have an angle and its corresponding side, we can use the law of sines. So we found that we had an angle, its corresponding side. We used the law of sines to find the other angle. So we used this law of sines to find the other angle. Whenever we found the other angle, then we said, okay, we have two angles. We know that the sum of the angles in a triangle has to equal 180 degrees. So we found that other angle that way. Then we used the law of sines again to figure out the opposite side from that angle that we found. Cool. So problem number 2 is basically almost identical to problem number 1, except instead of A, B, and C, they use the letters D, E, and F. So it works the exact same way. Should you want to check your answers, I would, if you haven't worked this problem, I highly recommend that you just go ahead and skip to the next problem. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you the answers to problem number 2, just so you can make sure that you're doing it correctly. And if you're not getting these answers, then I expect you will contact me. And if you don't contact me, then I assume that you automatically know how to do these problems for sure. So, number 2, the measure of angle F is equal to 89 degrees. Side D was approximately 10.715, and side E was approximately 5.812. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to use the law of sines. Because we have a side and its corresponding angle, we can figure out the rest of the angles, and we can figure out the other sides, missing sides, using the law of sines. Number 3. Let's get to number 3. Number 3 is fun. Whatever. Number 3. Number 3 says, in triangle ABC, the measure of angle B is equal to 110 degrees. So if we have triangle ABC, so we have another sexy looking triangle, triangle A, B, C, ABC. Alright, so let's see what we have. What do they give us? Well, they say that the measure of angle B is 110 degrees. 110 degrees, I went ahead and labeled that. What else do I know? I know that A is 10.2 centimeters. A is the side opposite from angle A, 10.2 centimeters, and C is 15.3 centimeters. C is the side opposite of our angle C. So that's 15.3 centimeters. Cool. So now we have to ask ourselves, well, what are we missing? Well, we're missing side B, we're missing angle C, and we're missing angle A. So we're looking for the measure of angle A, the measure of angle C, and side B. okay? We have to find all three of these things. Then we have to ask ourselves, all right, what do we know? Well, we do know two sides. Ooh, if we know two sides, let's see if the angle in between it is included, like the slice of cheese we were talking about. Let's see. So, oh my god, there's a slice of cheese between the two slices of bread. What? Alright, cool. So, the angle is included. So, if we have two sides and an included angle, which law are we going to use? The law of cosines. Alright, cool. So, we're going to use the law of cosines, baby. Yeah. Alright, cool. Law of cosines is what we're going to use. So, we're going to use the law of the cosine. So the law of cosines, that is the hot piece of hotness that we're going to use. But we could use something else also. We could use the law of sines, because we do have an angle. Hold on. Alright, looking at the wrong part on my solution. I was like, wait, what? Yes, so we can use the law of cosines because we have two sides with an angle that is included. Sine A. So, law of cosines is what we're going to use first. Law of cosines. Well, what do we know? We know, or what are we looking for? What are we looking for? Let's just say that we know these two sides and we have this angle B. If we know the side A and we know the side C, what side do we have left that we don't know? We don't know B. So if we're saying we're looking for the side B, then we're going to say B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared plus minus 2AC times the cosine of angle B. That's our formula. Because we know the side A is over here. We know the side C, but we don't know the side B. We figured out that we could use the law of cosines because we do have two sides and an included angle. So we're going to use the law of cosines to figure out that final side. That's what B squared is equal to A squared plus C squared minus 2AC times the cosine of B. That's what the formula is. Well, let's just plug in for all the values and we'll see if we can use them to figure out what B is. So B squared is equal to A, which is 10.2 squared, plus C, I'm just going to take off the parentheses because we don't have negatives here. So 10.2 squared plus 15.3 squared minus 2 times 10.2 times 15.3 times the cosine of B times the cosine of 110 degrees. So this is where it gets tricky, because if you do not follow these steps by using your calculator, and if you use your calculator not properly or improperly, then you will screw up the answer. Like, you have to show your work by walking through these steps. And if you don't show your work, then I'm not going to be able to give you credit for just a number that you put on a piece of paper. So whenever you solve for B, how are you going to solve for B? You take the square root. Take the square root, so that's B is equal to the square root of 10.2 squared plus 15.3 squared, so 10.2 squared plus 15.3 squared minus, this is an entire function. So 2 times 10.2 times 15.3 times the cosine of 110. If it's easier for you to go ahead and evaluate that, go ahead and do that in one step. Then evaluate whatever's in front of it and subtract whatever you get for that second half. All you're doing is plugging in your calculator. Just be very, 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 very careful about how you plug it into your calculator, because if you make one mistake, your answer is going to be completely off. So whenever you solve this, what do you get? You get B is equal to 21.012 B is equal to 21.012 centimeters. Hold on, I got an important call. Hey, Baba, can I call you back? Alright, wait. Grandpa's calling. Hopefully everything's alright. So B is equal to 21.012 centimeters. Cool. So we have the law of so we found B. We've gotten B. B is 21.012 centimeters. So we have this side. So we said this is 21.012 centimeters. Now now what we're going to say is that we have a side and its corresponding angle. Oh my god, can we use something else that's easier than these really big formulas? Yeah, we can use the law of sines. So the law of sines, to find any of these other angles, we can use the law of sines. So let's just say that the sine of angle B, 21.012 centimeters, divided by side, or no, hold on, that's the side. Made a mistake. Not perfect. So the sine, or that was to check to see if you're still listening. Ha. Alright, so the sine of 110 degrees, because that's the sine of angle B, divided by the side B. Divided by side B, which is 21.012 centimeters, it has to equal to, let's just say we're solving for angle A. So that would be the sine of angle A divided by the side A, 10.2 centimeters. So how am I going to solve this? Well, multiply by 10.2 centimeters, multiply by 10.2 centimeters. These cancel out. So sine A is going to equal to 10.2 times the sine of 110 degrees divided by 21.012 centimeters. Okay, well, we'll do units at the end. So, sine of A. How am I going to solve for angle A? Well, how am I going to undo the sine function? Well, I have to do perform the inverse sine. The inverse of the inverse sine of the sine function cancels out, but I have to also take the inverse sine of the other side if I do it to the left side. If I do it to the left side, I have to do it to the right side. So, or second sine on your calculator. So angle A is the measure of angle A is going to equal to the inverse sine of 10.2 times the sine of 110 degrees divided by 21.012. So what do we get when we solve for that? Well, you're going to get you should get 27.028 degrees. Make sure that you're able to come up with these values. 27.028 degrees. Awesome. Do we have anything else to solve for? Yes, we have angle C. Well, if I know angle B and I know angle A, can I find angle C? Yeah, 100. Now all I do to find the measure of angle C is 180 degrees minus the sum of the other two angles. Minus 27.028 plus 110 degrees. So whenever I do that, the measure of angle C gives me 42.972 degrees. The measure of angle C is 42.972 degrees. That is the measure of angle C, 42.972 degrees. Cool. That's about it. So problem 4 is just like problem number 3. You should be able to do problem number 2 and number 4. Right now I'm going to give you the answers to problem number 4 really quickly because the video is about to end. So problem number 4, what you should have gotten for the measure of angle D is equal to 95.259 degrees. The measure of angle M is going to be 52.809 degrees. And the value of the measure of angle R is going to be 31.932 degrees. Cool. So the video is almost up. We're almost out of time. No, I'm just kidding. We're almost out of time, and hope you enjoyed watching.